Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Magnum Martel, and welcome back to another beautiful video here on my channel. So a couple days ago now, I made a video talking about the Dave Chappelle controversy over at Netflix. You know, how Dave made some jokes that some people in the LGBT community found offensive, and they started trying to cancel him, and Dave, being the impeccable, great comedian he is, looked them dead in the face and said,
"Bring it on."
Well, unfortunately, the story does not end there, because when does it ever? And a few people, mostly a bunch of activists within Netflix, people who legitimately work there, have decided to organize a walkout. And all I gotta say is, it goes to show that comedy has finally overtaken the easily offended. I guess some people are tired of watching comedians get canned and have their careers ruined for making jokes at the expense of others. Because the Netflix walkout only had a measly 100 people in attendance, and even counter-protesters there that were saying, jokes are funny, jokes are good, let us have these things. Well, needless to say, the walkout did not go off without a hitch. It actually got pretty crazy. There was law enforcement present to make sure nobody got too riley, and needless to say, people got too riley. Another YouTuber, another commentator by the name of Vito, who is also a little bit like me. He's a little bit nicer than me, but he's the type of guy that he talks about social justice and cancel culture and why it sucks and it ruins everything it touches, just like I do. I've never personally watched his content myself until now, but the couple things I've seen so far, good stuff, good man. He was present. The man was there with a sign that said, "Jokes are funny, I like jokes, let us have jokes." And he was chanting that in response to the crowd. Well, the crowd got a little riley. Let's take a look at the video, and then we're going to talk about it.
Why is he breaking my sign? Why is he breaking my sign? Don't I have free speech rights? Don't I have free speech rights as well as you? Oh, look, there's such a... He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon! Oh, you want me to drop my weapon? Yes. Okay. Get in me. There's my weapon.
We're not trying to have any discussion.
I'm not discussing anything.
You're talking We're trying not to have any discussion.
I'm just here to say that jokes are funny, people. Dave Chappelle is a funny guy. I love Dave. I don't know why all the violence. I don't know why all the hate. I just love Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle! He is funny. Dave Chappelle. They took my stick. They took my stick. My stick. They took it. My side, I need my poster board. It's $2.99. It was my money. What is that little guy?
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in this video, and I showed you the full thing rather than just snippets and interrupting in between because I prefer to do it that way. Honestly, I wasn't too happy with my last couple videos where I interrupted in the middle. And believe me, it took me a while to find this video. I actually had to find another creator, and that's why you can partly see it minimized on their screen in the background, because I wasn't able to rip it off of Twitter or anywhere else that it was posted before. Someone, probably the person who recorded it, or someone who was there, probably the woman in front of him, is going around and copyright striking it all over the internet. And here's the funny part about this whole thing. They were the aggressors here. You saw that. They literally ripped the sign out of his hand, threw it on the ground, and then started screaming he had a weapon while he was backing up. What that tells me is that they knew they were in the wrong, and they were trying to get him in trouble. It's a common social justice tactic, to tell you the truth. And you know what really fucking sucks about it is the fact that, more than anything, he didn't do anything wrong. They were just angry at him for having an opinion they don't like. Now, this story is pretty big, and all of the creators in the space, myself included, are covering this matter because it's a big deal. What happened here is simple. Vito went there and counter-protested that Dave Chappelle did nothing wrong. The social justice protesters who decided to organize the walkout, attacked him, literally ripped the sign out of his hand, and tried to say he had a weapon. And now, the news media got all of that wrong. The news media decided to defend the anti-Dave Chappelle protesters, saying that Vito had a weapon and that he was inciting violence and making threats and screaming at them, when he wasn't, as you can see in the video. They're trying to scrub the fact that they were in the wrong from the internet. Even Twitter. All over Twitter, any post that posts this video or points out that Vito didn't do anything wrong is being struck down by the platform. You know it's bad when a guy who does videos on YouTube who doesn't live anywhere near this incident, who's literally on the opposite end of the country, can do better investigative journalism from his living room than an actual mainstream journalist who works in the fucking industry and was present. Well, anyway, the story's not quite over there. Vito did nothing wrong. Obviously, he was in the right, and they were trying to get him in trouble. I don't think they realized how much they could have hurt him, to be totally honest. They were getting in front of him, bashing a tambourine in his face, standing in front of him, not letting him pass. If he wanted to, he could have passed. And you know, I gotta respect Vito. He has a lot more self-respect than me, because I would have punched that motherfucker with the tambourine. I can't go to these kinds of things, because if they even so much as touched me, I would hit back. That's the kind of man that I am. I believe that some people just need a good old-fashioned ass whooping, and that's all there is to it. But it would ultimately make my side look like the villains in the situation, so I respect Vito for what he did here. I respect him for taking it and just letting them make a fool of themselves. I gotta tell you the truth. It must have taken a lot of self-control. Self-control that even these people don't have. So the media is trying to make Vito look like the bad guy and the protesters look like the good guys in this cancel culture event trying to get rid of Dave Chappelle. And you know, all I can say is this is pretty reminiscent to what happened last year, or I guess at the beginning of this year. You remember all those quote-unquote peaceful protests where police stations were burned down, cars were burned, and people were assaulted? Yeah. Why does that sound so familiar? Oh, that's right, because the social justice crowd is so used to having the media at their back that they are unwilling in every conceivable way to act civilized, because they know that the media will defend them no matter what. Social justice activists are far more often than not the aggressor and the violent ones in these situations, to the point where they will even place ways for them to be violent and claim that somebody else did it. They did it last year. If you needed a reason beyond this to hate them and to disagree with everything that they stand for, I shouldn't have to give you one. But the story isn't over here. So the protesters in question decided to release a list of demands, if you will, because they seem to think that they have the power in this situation. Let's take a look at it. And there's bulletins here. There's a lot of different points. We're just going to go through as many as we can. Content investment. Create and fund to specifically develop trans and non-binary talent. This fund should support both above-the-line and below-the-line talent. This fund should exist in addition to existing creative equity fund. So, the feminist one. Increase investment in trans and non-binary content on Netflix comparable to our total investment in transphobic content. There is no transphobic content on Netflix. Invest in multiple trans creators to make both scripted and unscripted programs. Revise internal process on commissioning and releasing potentially harmful, sensitive content, including but not limited to involving parties who are part of the subject community and can speak to potential harm. Basically, censor more people that we don't like. Increase ERG's role in conversations around potentially harmful content. Hire trans and non-binary content executives, especially BIPOC, in leading positions. So basically, put us in complete control of your company and give us everything. This right here, this is just the first set of demands. This is all you need to know that these people are fucking nuts, and they should be laughed out of the room. We're not done yet. Employee relations and safety. Recruit trans people, especially BIPOC, for leadership roles in the company. Director, VP, and promote an inclusive environment for them. Allow employees to remove themselves from previous company promotional content. Eliminate references, imagery of transphobic titles or talent inside of the workplace, including but not limited to murals, posters, room names, swag. They're really trying to get rid of the word swag. Harm reduction. Acknowledge the harm and Netflix's responsibility for this harm from transphobic content. Whoo! Holy fuck, did I need that laugh. Okay, moving on, continuing. Add a disclaimer before thinking transphobic titles that specifically flag transphobic language, misogyny, homophobia, and hate speech, etc. as required. Boost promotion for disclosure and other trans-affirming titles in the platform. Isn't that funny how they specifically picked out one? Suggest trans-affirming content alongside or and after content flagged as anti-trans. So basically censor everything that you care, that people like, and promote a bunch of shit that we make that most people don't really care for. So these motherfuckers, who could only get a measly 100 people to come to this protest that they were hosting, who had the nerve to outright attack an innocent man who did nothing wrong but have a sign and counter-protest saying that jokes are funny and that we like them, and that Dave did nothing wrong, they have the nerve to make demands this ridiculous and say that they deserve to be handed special fucking treatment just because Dave Chappelle offended them. But the story's not over. No, actually, Dave Chappelle and his people, his managers and stuff, have actually openly admitted and said outright to the people, especially the ones in charge of this protest, that he will talk with them. He will sit down and have a civilized conversation on his terms to discuss what he can do to make them happy and what their concerns actually are. They have not responded to this at all. In fact, they are denying the fact that he's doing this. They're ignoring it and avoiding it. You know why? The answer is quite simple. Because they know that if they don't do it on their terms, they can't make him out to be the bad guy. Because they know that they're just the perpetually offended and that Dave actually didn't do anything wrong. And they hate that. It burns their ass that he will willingly talk to them because he knows he did nothing wrong. He knows that he is fine. He knows it. And they hate that because they know he's not afraid of them. That he's willing to just talk to them. These people don't want a discussion. They don't want a dialogue. They want you to bend the knee and act the way they want you to act. They want to be recognized as the victim. Here's what happens when you bend the fucking knee.
How did it all go so wrong? All I wanted to do was keep my fort and gut you in the process.
And Dave Chappelle knows this. He knows that that's what they want. They want him to submit and just do whatever they want. They want to vilify him and cancel him. They want to ruin him because he had the nerve to make a video, to make a special, and do comedy that offended them. That most people, the vast majority of people, genuinely enjoy. I said all this in my last video. I respect Dave Chappelle because he's not afraid of them. Because he made these jokes because he doesn't punch just one person. He swings at everybody because good comedy is equal. Good comedy will make fun of and insult anything and everyone. Nothing should ever be off limits when it comes to comedy. And if someone is going to be offended, it is up to them to be adult enough to not be offended. Or to be adult enough when they are offended to just move on and let the other people laugh. Because this isn't just about just hurting Dave Chappelle. This isn't just about ruining Dave Chappelle's career. This is about vilifying everyone that enjoyed the special and laughed at what he had to say. This is about making everyone else into the villain. Because the LGBT people, especially the trans ones, especially the ones that work at Netflix and have these positions at these companies, are so used to being the victim that they think they're untouchable. And Dave Chappelle came along and said, no, you're not.
The rest of Eastern Europe, because that's punching down. And comedy never punches down, it only punches up. I've read that from 50 people that never did comedy. They all said it punches.
So I guess, at least according to these people, good comedy only punches down. only punches up, but they are allowed to punch down as much as they like. You know, honestly, I might do a video dissecting these lists of demands a little bit more and going into each and every one and what I think their end goal really is there. I don't know. We'll see how much traction this video gets. But all I gotta say is, you know what? I'm glad that this protest was a fucking fail. I'm glad only a measly 100 people showed up, because it shows Netflix that we don't want what these people want. Everyone is tired of the social justice crowd, especially the LGBT ones who think they're untouchable, controlling everything and making demands of everyone. If I was in charge, I would have let them have their protest and totally ignored it. And then I just went, okay, they've had their 5 minutes, show's over, let's get back to making some good stuff. Hey Dave, you want to do another special for us? And I gotta give Dave Chappelle credit. The man is legitimately willing to work with them and reach out to them, because he knows that he can't really please them. And he just wants to make it clear that he's not just going to do whatever they want, but he's willing to listen. That's a good man. That is smart. That is a good move when it comes to press, because it says, oh, Dave is willing to listen to their concerns, but he's probably not going to just bend the fucking knee because he's not stupid. I don't agree with giving these people the time of day, to be totally honest with you. If I were in Dave's position right now, I would totally ignore them. I'd be like, yeah, I knew this was coming. Let them be mad. Let them be fucking mad. It's not my problem. They can be upset as long as most people agree that it's all in good fun and they know that I'm just doing my job as a comedian. Who cares? If I offended a couple people, oh well, it's up to them as the ones who were offended to be adults and get over it. But he's being smart and he's willing to give them the time of day because he knows that he doesn't have to bend, and he knows that what they want is ridiculous and absurd. And you know, shame on the media, especially fucking Twitter. God, I hate Twitter. I blame Twitter for almost all of our current societal problems when it comes to this nonsense. But shame on the media for actively lying about Dave. For actively saying that the people counter-protesting were the villains and the aggressors here. Shame on you. This tactic didn't fucking work when BLM and Antifa were burning down cities. Why do you think it would work now when there's video of the protesters being the aggressors? You people are out of your goddamn mind. But alright, that's all I have to say about it. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to turn the notifications on for more videos like this one. And you know what? I will see you in the next video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about Dave Chappelle's response and the social justice crowd actively assaulting a man who did nothing wrong